people to know that 3 parents went out and raised $60,000.
For the bowl school edition, yeah. We're working down there.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. This is a continuation of the opportunities that we have had to meet with the candidates and for town government. And this time around, we only have time for a half hour. But in the half hour, it's been my experience from the feedback that a half an hour is okay. They get to know the candidate. And so it's a pleasure to have each and every candidate come through behind the scenes. And Steve Sloan, it's a pleasure having you.
Always a pleasure meeting you, Charlie.
Yeah. We had a good show a couple of years ago. And you almost won that election, I can recall.
Come close to my first time out of the gate. It was fun. It was a good experience.
Yeah. And I can remember the first time I ran for selectman. I lost it to a pro, and Mike Capola.
Yes.
And he beat me by something like 15 votes.
Oof.
And then the year after, I did very well. And but it's an experience, and it's something we have to go through in order to present ourselves. So you want to be a selectman, and obviously that goes without saying because you ran for it once before,
right.
And so you very definitely want to be a selectman. So would you want to start off, Steve, and talk a little bit about why you want to be a selectman again?
Well, Charlie, it never stopped from when I first wanted to be a selectman back 6 years ago. I mean, I've been watching from the sidelines and at home and paying attention to what goes on in town and stuff like that. And a lot of things, you think you can help out on. And I think it comes down to a lot of people will talk about what goes on in town, and they have major concerns. They don't want to put themselves out there to, whether they're time constraints or whatever, or don't want to go on TV or, I have to say when you put yourself up in this position, you set yourself up for, you're not always going to make the right decisions with other people. You're going to rub people the wrong way when you do it. You're not going to make everyone happy. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Me also. That's a hard part of it. But I think the pro to that is if you can make a good difference, if you can help your community, then it makes it worthwhile. And like last time, when I lost to Bob Hickey, it did hurt. Yes, it did. But at least I could sit on my couch and I felt better about trying. At least I could say I tried. You can be like some of these other communities, like our neighbor in Mansfield. They're having a hard time finding anybody to run for office, and also in this town, there's a lot of unopposed races, which I think that's not a good thing. You've got to have more people run for office because you can't just have the same people doing it all the time or running unopposed. It would be nice. I was talking to Mark Sullivan and Paul Mortensen, and there's no animosity between the three of us, and I say it's good for them. Good that 2 other guys are running. That's a great thing. I wish there was 5. I wish there was 8 people running for selectmen. It would have been that would show that a lot of people want to do it and put their time in and try to help the community the best they can. And that's basically what I want to do. I think I can.
Sure.
I know I can.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that have opinions, but they got themselves very, very busy in one way or another. Some obviously own some of the retail establishments, and you try running a business and you're always going to be very busy, and so on and so on. But there's also some who feel, given a strong look at the town government, I think there's a lot of people that feel relatively confident that we have a good town government. In other words, there's enough people who know what's best for the town and seem to make the push to get the others on various committees and what have you to follow. Now, it seems to me the first part of what you said was that it didn't say it exactly in the words, but I know enough about it to be able to say. You're somebody that focuses on the individual people in the town. You listen carefully, as reported to me, to what they're saying. You get, you're there to get opinions and whatever, and you tend to remind a lot of people of Delaney, who would go on out and talk to people and search for things. And that's how, when I was a selectman, that's what I did too. I went out and met people, and I got their opinions. And I think that's a very good thing to do, because, you know, people are on the verge of writing to the reporter, or on the verge of coming into the town government and talking to somebody, but they don't, for whatever reason. Maybe they hold back a little bit. So you're the type that goes out, meets people, talks to people, what do you think? And there's going to be plenty of opportunities to do that, because up at the senior center, they always invite candidates to go on up there.
I was there yesterday.
Yeah. Pardon me?
I was there yesterday.
You were there yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Good.
See, people get to know you, and they get to understand you. And if you focus on the people, you know, instead of maybe some big issue, you focus on people, people are going to respond, because they need that.
Sure.
And the more people they can get on that board that very sensitive to the people and their opinions, and actually willing to go out. And I know Delaney did this, and I did this, and I think you did. Try doing this at Sunday at 10 o'clock, you know, on a Sunday night. Still go out and find out what's the problem. What are you trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
And what can we do to help you with that kind
Absolutely.
of thing?
It's community.
Okay. So I think that's one of your trademarks, that the contact with the individual.
Mm-hmm. I'm out on the street.
Right. So now, what else in going in as a selectman do you see yourself concentrating on, or being sensitive to, or what you might like to try to help with the community's feelings about the board?
Let me see if I can answer that correctly here, Charlie. What I want to try and do, and the resounding word I hear from a lot of people, is that we're living outside our means as a town right now. And I can put it like, let's say this. What other town right now, we've just built a public safety building, huge money for that. Needed it. Did we need it? Absolutely. The fire station was falling down. The police station was, small. It wasn't useful anymore. So we had to do that. We had to make a police fire station, absolutely. And then we take on the high school project, which was, we got $10 million, and the state put in $10 million. That was a no-brainer. You had to do that. It's 50 cents on the dollar. We had to do that. Then we take on the library project. Now that's 3. And now we have down the road, we're looking at recently, a new town hall. Now, there's 4 buildings we got going. So we've just going to try and do this one without any taxes, raising our taxes, selling off properties in town. See, I have a little problem with that. My problem with that is, do we need a town hall? Let me go out. Absolutely. That town hall should be knocked down and a new one built in its place. Is the timing right? I don't think it is. They're going to try and raise the money through the sale of the Lincoln Hill properties on Oak Street, the fire station, Keating's Funeral Home, and raise some money somewhere else that we have left over from the high school projects, what we're not done with yet. I just have a problem with trying to, that's kind of, I think we should wait until we sell these properties, like I would at home. I'd like to treat the town almost as like your own house. I've said before on the candidates night that in my house, I'm in the bunker mentality. This is a terrible, terrible time right now. We're going through the economic black cloud.
People are hurting.
They're hurting all over the place. I mean, the gas, fuel prices going through the roof, and it's not stopping. It's going to get worse this summer. I really have a problem with the recession is not over. We got to, like in my house, I want to put a roof on this year and do some other renovations to it, maybe fool with the deck. But right now, the roof is fine. I have to, and that's just me buying the material. My buddies come over the house. I feed them and give them refreshments, and we put the roof on. But I'm not quite sure if now is the right time. And I'm just, we're not going on vacation. We've got to save. We've got to conserve. I'm not going to do that until I find out we have the money to do it. And right now we don't. We have to wait because something could happen. Look at oil prices this year. Just to heat my house was through the roof.
Well, part of this problem is not entirely on the shoulders of the town. The Commonwealth and the feds are contributing to our squeeze.
Absolutely.
Now we used to have something called a cherry sheet. In other words, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts sends us some money, and every other town in Massachusetts. But where did they get the money? They get the money from us in the first place.
Right.
Okay? And so, because of real estate and because of the income, when you submit the state tax return every year, all that money flows in there. And what they're doing is they're chopping every town because they waste money in town. And if they're wasting money, part of that's our money, buddy.
Absolutely.
Come on. So we're doing the best we can now to try to, be able to do things. And we have a lot of work going on with a new town manager and with Randy Scollins, the financial director, where they're beginning to pull things down here and there and find ways for new money, meals tax being one, but there are other things going on as well, okay? And part of this is beginning to look like it's going to make some sense. And we're getting ready for a complete presentation, either on behind the scenes or FCA program, and I would think it would be more appropriate to have a FCA program. Mm-hmm. And because it's going to have a lot of technology, because the thought is to open it to the public and let them call in to the presentation that the town manager and the financial director want to put on. And that'll be kind of an interesting thing. So looking at it, by the way, some of this, the numbers are the numbers, what it's going to cost to do something, but some money is being brought forth. For example, the high school didn't cost as much. There was a serious amount of money that's come back in to the fund.
Not yet. Well, we're not quite done with that project. So right now we're at $1.2 million under budget. I think it was our last numbers. We brought that in. But something could happen. We could find some more asbestos or something could sidetrack us down the road. So you really can't say that is the number when we've not done. The gym floor hasn't gone in yet, so we have to wait. We have to wait to see what are we going to sell the fire station for. You can't, unless you're way better than, it's smarter than I am, and a lot of people are. I'm not saying I'm smart, but I would say sell the fire station, sell Keating's, sell it, see what you have as a whole. That's what I would do at my house. Sell it, get my monies together, and then go ahead and see how you have to go about attacking another municipal building.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think caution is very important.
Absolutely.
And deep looking, and don't get too excited. There may be money sitting on, as you go out the door of your house in the morning. Gee, look at that extra money laying on my table. It's got to be real.
Yes.
But in the meantime, there's ways of continuing to look for more money. Now, for one thing, a while back, I talked with Andy Galla, and I said, we can get some additional money, maybe as much as $100,000, if we put solar capability on top of the old dump. And he thought about that. And Jim Timothy, the senator, it was the person within our town state government that was running that whole activity throughout Massachusetts. And we had Jim out here. And this may be something that the new town manager will pick it up.
I think he is.
And now get moving further. So there are other things that may come along. And right now, I like the fact that we're not rushing to say it's an absolute deal, and that includes you saying that, because we don't know. We don't know yet whether that money is
We
there.
don't know it.
But I found out that CVS the old CVS building has been sold, and okay, so we got somebody new there,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hope that their development protects what we see is the ability to continue to support the commons. They're going to be tied together. But okay, so you're not running to say that this is golden, but are you keeping up to up as to what the selectmen you tune into the shows and?
Yes, I was. And last Tuesday when I was watching it, and it was Jimmy DeVellis was very good. He came and I was on the couch watching it, of course, and when they were talking about doing this project, he brought up a good point. He said, "Whoa, wait a minute." He says, the last meeting we were talking about, we don't have any money. We're going to have to put this meals tax through, or there's going to be layoffs across town. But all of a sudden now, you say we can get up $8 million to fund this town hall, which is a very valid question. I said the same thing. Wait a minute, we have no money, but you're finding $8 million to do this out of your hat. That was a good point. How does that happen?
Yeah, you may have to shift that a year. Okay.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So I think that was your point too. The thing is, there's certain things that have to be done now. They have to be done now, okay? But then you go from there to say, okay, let's set the priorities. But a lot of that thinking is going on, and you're right to challenge it and say, hey, let's sit down, let's have a little talk. It's been my experience that the board or a member or two of the board are always willing to sit down and explain why that they have taken certain positions, and DeVellis is one of them. You can always ask him, and he'll tell you why he feels the way he does,
Sure.
and the reason. But I think it's very strong of you as a candidate to be able to say that you see these things and you see how they're moving along, and you want to be able to find out as much depth as you can as to how real they are, because if it turns out that you become a selectman, you want to be prepared to say, okay, this happened in May 9th, I think it is, but how are we really going to make it really, really happen by the time we get to town meeting and be able to say, we can handle this and we can handle that and we can handle something else. We also got money for over by the train station in Mansfield, because we got a great big piece of land that we've cleared over there, and it'd be nice to let people from Foxborough park over there, because all the other space is taken by Mansfield. So that's sitting there, but that may not be this year's either.
It's open. There's 4 cars in it.
Oh, there's 4 cars?
4 cars. So another one. And as we were building this, being put together, it goes out to, it's going into a lottery to see we had to make 124 spots. And it's got to go to the lottery. It's got to find out, we might have 200 people that want to go there. I was a skeptic. I said, when we were painting it, you only got to paint 10 spots, because think of it. You work in Boston. You take that, you park your car there, you catch the Gatcha bus, brings you down to the train station.
Right.
You run late. it's January. You run late. You miss that Gatra bus, which I have done, coming out of Logan, missing that bus to come back to Foxfield Plaza, and the next one's not coming for 2 hours. Well, you know what? I drive to Logan now, because I don't like waiting in Logan for 2 hours. It's very expensive. So, you miss that Gatra bus when you get home from the office and the bus is gone. Now you have to walk the long, lonely walk down County Street. There's no sidewalks. I think there's one street light, and there's snowbanks. You're going to do that once. I wish to say that, well, if it was full, I think the number was, if that was totally to capacity, it would have been like $91,000. We would have taken it as a town at $3 a day. As of now, it's $2 a day. There's 4 cars in there. Well, no, there's 5. I don't think that 5th car has a sticker on it, but there's 4. They said, let's go through the summer. Let's not call it a loser yet. Let's go through the summer, and maybe the good weather will bring out the people, and they'll use it, and they'll get used to it, and word of mouth will people come down there and use it. I hope. I really hope it does, for the town's sake.
Yeah, I hope too, because it was a rather inexpensive investment,
Yep.
and it could help a lot of the community to be able to park over there, and 50 cars, 60 cars, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a good thing. But there's a whole bunch of balls being flipped up in the air here, one right after the other. And it's good to keep in track of them, because then you can take a deeper look and you see if it's got a more value than that's been coming out in the papers and what have you.
Sure.
And say, geez, I think I could go along with that. So you're very active. You're on top of a lot of things that are going on here. And when, let's say, it's going to be interesting because there's 3 candidates for selectmen and there's 3 candidates for the planning board. And the planning board's got a lot to be looking forward to. There's a lot of things that they got to take a hard look at too, and see whether some of the potentials for additional income are really there.
Right.
No.
Just killing another minute. You think about hindsight. That's what you got to look. Hindsight, foresight.
Right.
And you remember, were you on the board then when they sold my alma mater, the Robinson Hill School, back in the day?
Yes.
Now that was always I've kicked that around for years.
That was a bad deal.
It's a terrible deal, and now this is what we're reaping what's the opposite? We're not the benefits. It's coming back to haunt us, because if we did bought that Robinson Hill School back after it was retrofitted, put brand new, that would have been a perfect town hall / police station. We would have had it retrofitted at the time, and then we would have had this property sitting over here. That would have been the Foxwood company went through the whole place, made it beautiful.
That's right.
We sold it for $1 million. Wanted to sell it back to us for $2 million. That number's correct.
I think it is. That's right.
So we should have took that back. We wouldn't have been in this position right now, and we could have put the fire station here at a huge savings for the town. But again, at the time, a lot of the people in office at the time didn't have they can't see past the windshield, look down the road. It always comes back to haunt you, and that thing really bothers me. I wish we'd done that. We wouldn't have been in this position now.
But it's over and done with.
I know it, but still. God.
But I agree with you. It was not good.
No.
And I don't think it's particularly good what happened for that Sage ended up with like 11 acres down there, and that was a bad sell. They shouldn't have sold all of that acreage that went with the school, because they weren't using all that acreage for the school.
Exactly.
But anyhow,
at least we don't have the traffic problem down there. We have down here.
Yeah, that's right. All right, look, you're extremely alive, and you work hard. And you're not afraid to put an opinion out, which is good, because you're never going to get 5 people on a board of selectmen that all 5 are going to agree exactly the same way. It's important to be able to go in and say what you want to say. Okay, and we talked a little bit about that you're of the type that Delaney was, and so on.
I'm way better looking than Bert.
Yeah. So now let's talk to the community. We only have a couple of minutes left, and I think we ought to just stop looking at issues and look at who you are, what you are, what this community means to you, and why you want to be a selectman.
Okay, Charlie, that would be pretty simple. I just, I figured that, again, you always want to say you want to give back to the community. Of course you do. I've lived in town my whole life. I don't plan on going anywhere. My daughter is in the kindergarten at the borough school. And I just know that walking around town and meeting all the people and knowing everybody that I know and listening to the people, they said, the resounding word was, Steve, why don't you run again? You got to run, because we talk all the time, just like we're talking right now. I do this all the time, and we banter back and forth. And I just know that I can help what we have to do here in town. I can bring a different perspective, albeit a ground level, but you don't have to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor to run on the Board of Selectmen. I think you just need common sense, and you got to think things out. Are we going to disagree on some issues up there? Oh, guarantee we do. I guarantee we disagree on some things. But, again, I just want your vote on May 2nd, and I want to try and do and help us out as a community. There's a lot of people in this town that are on fixed incomes. We just can't pile everything on the back of the taxpayer. They're not making any more money, and everything is going up. We can't. It's almost like no child left behind. There's no household left behind. We can't keep doing this and thinking everyone's making $150,000 a year when we're not. Everyone's got to go together. That's basically my line. We've got to have some fiscal responsibility. We've got to care about our people that are on fixed incomes, because there's a large population of us is still, some 50. I'm not there yet. I still got 20 years left, I think. There is people in their houses that are actually afraid. They're scared right now. They don't know. And it's not just us on taxes. We can try and control that. We're going to try our best to do what we have to, I would hope. It's, take the other side we talked about. You go to the grocery store and everything else, and oil and gas. It's getting to be too much. And you want to have this meal tax. It's like, come on. You put the meal tax through, and they're scaring everyone with the layoffs and all that. And I don't buy into it, because a tax is a tax is a tax. It's going to just come. That's the old salesman with his foot in the door. What is it next? It's going to be more. It's you got to just say no off the get-go and live within your means and just do it. That's basically it, Charlie. Simple as that.
Steve, very, very good. Okay. We've used our time. So, as a factor, I'll say quickly to the community, thank you very much for tuning in and getting to learn of another candidate, Steve Sloan. And Steve is a candidate for selectman. Thank you very much for tuning in and being interested in what we have for behind-the-scenes shows. Thank you. So,